When I was 11 years old, I stood on a stage for the first time. I had a fever the night before. I forgot parts of my speech, and somehow I came in first. Looking back, that moment shaped a kind of confidence I still carry today. Hi, I'm Weilin. In my last video, I shared what knowing Mandarin has given me, opportunities I never expected, and a life I don't think I would have lived otherwise. But here's the thing, I didn't grow up speaking Mandarin at home. So how did I get here? Before I stepped on that stage, there was the dictionary. I attended a Chinese primary school in Malaysia, SJKC, Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan Cina. The medium of instruction was Mandarin. I remember carrying this heavy Chinese dictionary everywhere. It was covered in a blue cloth bag, a navy blue, and it was just so old, worn down, and dirty by the end of it. I'm not sure if any of you who also attended a Chinese primary school back then remember it. We didn't have apps back then. So if you wanted to look up a word, I remember you have to first calculate how many strokes are there in a character. You then look for its radical, its 偏旁 or 部首. Then you can search for the character. It took time. I can imagine that if I were to do that right now, I don't think I would have the patience, especially when you have apps to do that for you. I also remember the hours we spent drilling stroke orders of each Chinese character over and over, sequence after sequence, until it became muscle memory. That's why today when I see someone writing a character with the wrong stroke order, I unintentionally get a bit jumpy. Now, after primary school, I did continue learning Mandarin, although as a standalone subject. In high school, I would take once a week tuition classes because my school back then did not provide Mandarin, at least for my first high school. My other subjects were taught in Malay and then English. The only time I flipped open a Chinese newspaper was during my tuition classes once a week. And even then, my writing was 很勉强, a real struggle. I took Mandarin as an elective for 2 national exams, PMR at 15 and SPM at 17. But here's the thing, even with all that foundation, the stroke orders, the drill, the tuition, I still didn't feel fluent. My environment was mostly in English. TV shows, movies, songs, books, which brings me back to the story of the stage. I was born and raised in Malaysia, a multilingual country. I spoke English at home with my parents. They were English educated. Malaysia was a British colony. They only started learning Mandarin in their later years, which I find amazing. I spoke Hokkien with my late grandmother. I learned Malay at school, it's our national language, and I picked up Cantonese unintentionally by watching TVB shows for about a year when I was 10 or 11. For many Chinese Malaysian or Malaysian Chinese families, a dialect is spoken at home. That could be Hokkien, Teochew, Cantonese, Hakka, Fuzhou, depending where your ancestors came from. Mandarin isn't always spoken. Now, when I was 11, my mom signed me up for a speaking training course, 说话训练班. It was held in school as an extracurricular activity. The teacher who came to run it, we called him Meng Shushu, was a famous local newscaster. I think it was in my second class that he told me that I had talent in pronunciation, in speaking. I didn't think too much of it. I was very young. That year, I entered a school competition for my year level, Primary 5. It was my first time on stage. I had a fever the night before. I forgot parts of my speech. And somehow, I came in first. I was surprised. Typically, the top 2 winners in Primary 5 would go on to represent a school in Primary 6 the next year. But I later heard from Meng Shushu that the headmaster back then wasn't very confident in me. I apparently kept putting my hands in my pocket or pulling at my skirt. I'm not sure if they were just nerves or habits I couldn't shake. I was also a newbie, unlike other students who have been on stage since Primary 1, 2, 3. But Meng Shushu convinced the school to take a chance on me. And from that moment on, every Monday morning during school assembly, I had to go on stage to practice the same speech over and over. My opening line was, 在开始谈论之前，我想问一下在座的各位，有哪一位没有摔过跤、跌倒过的呢？没有反应，这便是说每个人都曾经跌倒过了。To this day, some people still remember that line. And if that wasn't enough, my class teacher also made me practice in class. I can still picture which classmates were at the back making fun of me. I don't blame them if I had to endure listening to the same speech during assembly and in class. And no hard feelings, they're good people and we have all matured since. But that was my foundation, repetition, for 1 whole year, just doing it without questioning it, showing up again and again. That year I represented my school, then my district, then my state. I eventually competed at the national level and came up top 6. There's a Chinese saying, 台上1分钟，台下10年功. 1 year on stage takes 10 years of practice. Of course, 10 years is just figurative, but what this saying means is that what you see on stage, on TV, during a presentation is not built overnight. What looks natural on the surface is often built over time. Even right now, speaking English, it was because of my time as a journalist in radio and then TV that honed it. I wasn't always a great pronuncier in English. As for my Mandarin pronunciation, I may have had some talent, but it was drilling the same speech over a year that made the difference. Today, I hardly speak Mandarin in the Netherlands, and I hardly spoke it either when I studied in Australia for my bachelor's. Even for a couple of years when I was working in Malaysia, I hardly spoke it. But when I do, the pronunciation still comes out naturally. It seems that foundation, laid at age 11, never left me. Looking back, I realized a few things made a difference. First, foundation matters. You don't need to be fluent overnight, but spending time on pronunciation early, getting the tones right, the 翘舌, the retroflex sounds, pays off. At least for me. That early exposure to proper speaking and attending a Chinese primary school was crucial, especially coming from an English-speaking family. Second, interest doesn't always come first. My mom likes to say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. At 11, I didn't recall loving Mandarin public speaking. I mean, I didn't not like it, but I also didn't feel like it was my true North Star. I in fact remember wanting to represent my school in badminton more. But it was UPSR year and I had to choose one. Maybe something in me knew, I'm not sure. But over time, something grew. It was really as a working adult right now that I fell in love with the culture, words, phrases, idioms. But if not for the foundation planted at age 11, I can imagine it wouldn't be as easy to just pick it up right now, years later. Third, encouragement goes a long, long way. Meng Shushu told me I had talent in the 2nd class. Him saying it made me believe it, and that belief opened doors. My parents were also fully supportive. They had full-time jobs and still took turns sending my brothers and I to all these extracurricular activities after work, on weekends. They believed in us too. My takeaway is someone believing in you, even just once, can stay with you for life. Number 4, language exposure takes many forms. It's not just what you study at school. For me, the exposure came via public speaking. For you, it could be sports, music, dance, video games. I once asked a question to the chief referee of a youth skiing open in Shanghai. After the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics, is this winter sport popularity here to stay? He told me what's important is for children to truly fall in love with the sport. Then you don't need much external force to push them. They will be involved naturally. The key, he said, is to expose them to different options. He cited the many major events, sub-events, and small events in the Beijing Games, and he believes there is something for everyone. The same applies to language. Exposure beyond school plants the seed. Number 5, your environment shapes more than you realize. I'm lucky. My mother, who was English educated, was always learning and growing. In fact, she was the one who introduced me to Chinese songs, the olden Chinese songs like Ye Qianwen, Cai Qin, and even like Han Hong. She still learns new Mandarin songs today and phrases via watching Chinese TV shows. My mom is also a fan of spewing out Chinese proverbs, the relevant ones, when situations call for it. 青出于蓝. When the student surpasses the teacher, she uses it to refer to my brothers and I, and she's very happy when we surpass her. 家家有本难念的经. Every family has its struggles. She likes to say that too. If you don't have that in your life, find it. It could be a friend, a colleague, a language exchange partner online, anyone. Your surroundings matter more than you think. Now I have a question. Is it the fact that you're good at something that's why you like it? Or is it because you like it that's why you then get better at it? I think for me, it was a bit of both. I was told I was good in Mandarin pronunciation, so I leaned in. And leaning in made me better. And by being better, made me like it more. So here's what I want to leave you with. I didn't grow up speaking Mandarin at home. And for years, I barely spoke the language. My world was English. Friends, books, movies, music, everything. I remember when I was in Chengdu, where my entire environment was in Mandarin or in the Sichuan dialect, I resisted at times and wanted to just soak myself in everything English when I was not working. I'm not sure if it's a case of wanting what you don't have and what you can't get, human nature. And yet, when I needed the language, Mandarin, it came back. When I go to China today, I can speak with locals. When I meet a fellow Chinese in Europe, I can connect with them. And I can because the foundation is there. So if you're learning Mandarin or any language, don't worry if progress feels slow. Don't worry if you lose interest or lose touch for a while. Just build a small foundation. Find an encouraging voice and keep coming back. Stay open. Try different ways of engaging with it. Maybe it's a class, maybe it's an activity that you like, a show, a conversation with someone. And remember, interest can come in waves. It's never too late to pick up a new language, to pick up Mandarin. Now is the best time. I'm Wei Lin. Thanks for watching.